Today on the podcast, I am bringing on a very special guest, someone that is so important to me, my husband, Brad Coons. We're going to talk about his experience on a GLP-1. We're going to talk about some behind the scenes of some things I shared on Instagram. And we're going to finish off the episode talking all things money and relationship and how our marriage completely changed when we finally healed our relationship with money. So stay tuned. Hello and welcome to the Money Mom podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Coons, and if you're watching us on YouTube, you'll see that I have a very special guest here with me today, and I brought my husband, Brad Coons, of 14 years. We just celebrated our 14-year anniversary, and I've honestly been wanting to bring him on the podcast since I started it like a year and a half ago, and we finally made it happen. I am currently struggling with my voice. I had a cold earlier in the week and am getting my voice back. But Brad, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Oh, that's a big question.
Well,
we have to do like an introduction. Like,
this
is me.
Yeah.
This
okay.
is who I am.
I guess like I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a dentist, and like those are the major portions of my life. So yeah, I mean, I see patients treating comprehensive dental
Brad is,
problems.
If you're watching,
I'm
the Folsom dentist.
Here.
If you need a dentist in Sacramento, he's your guy. Number one rated dental practice.
Yeah, 3 years in a row.
Yep.
And so I spend Monday through Wednesday focused on caring for patients, and mixed in there, I really love exercising and training. CrossFit's kind of been my modality for the last several years. I enjoy the community and the exercise. I really like the human body, and I like people. And if I'm not exercising, I'm not fixing teeth, then I'm boating.
Yes.
So
I was waiting for
wake
that.
surfing, wakeboarding, Facebook Marketplace, and picking up new wakeboards has become a new hobby. I only can ride one at a time, so I don't know why you need 3. But that's why I buy them on Marketplace, so I can buy it and sell it for the same price.
Brad's
there's
pretty
no
good.
loss.
Yeah,
there's no loss there.
we haven't lost a bunch of money on
not on
boards,
surfboards
so that's good.
and wakeboards.
But Brad has always loved
that's
boating.
My favorite, yeah.
I would say the number one thing about Brad is he loves to boat.
I was building a boat in the office the other day in between patients. I don't need a boat. I just like looking at them.
One of the reasons we moved to the town that we moved to.
Too.
Oh, but one of the reasons we moved to the town that we moved to is because there's a boat or a massive lake like 6 minutes from our house.
Yeah, it's good times.
So we kind of handpicked where we live based off of Brad's hobbies. Okay, so one of the reasons I wanted to bring him on, so we're going to talk a lot of tea today with Brad here because Brad sees the ins and outs of the things that I post. But I wanted Brad, so I recently shared an episode about our experience on a GLP-1. We started taking it together back in December, and I've gotten really good feedback from that episode. But Brad didn't get to share his experience and his side of the story, so I kind of wanted to bring him in as a follow-up to that episode so he can share his own thoughts and feelings about it. So, Brad, take it away.
About which portion?
Well, just how the whole experience has gone for you.
Okay. And you'll have to forgive me if is this YouTube right here?
We're recording the podcast, but we also record it for YouTube, so it's both.
Yeah, so you have to forgive me. I'm looking at a video of myself, and this is not my zone of genius here. Rachel's amazing behind the camera and stuff. So if I look like I'm not paying much attention in the video version, I'm probably a better conversationalist not looking at myself on the screen.
Whatever.
So
You'll be fine.
Forgive me there. So your question was
about GLP-1, your experience taking tirzepatide.
Well, I generally am like a cautious, risk-averse person, and so before I make decisions, I want to have as much data and knowledge as I can to feel like I'm making an informed decision, looking at pros and cons. And so trying to understand the science behind tirzepatide and GLP-1s and how does it work, how does it work, how is its efficacy, how is its safety, and as I've continued on this journey, like it's a pretty miraculous medication as far as we know now. Who knows what the future will hold? But I started like a few months back. How long was it? I guess
December.
Yeah, there was, I've always exercised. I've always been into weight training. I was an obese child, and and a lot of my core stories and memories are around being bullied as a child, how I felt about myself, how I looked, and so I always have had a nice, thickness layer. Lots of husky shopping in 7th grade. And so in 9th grade, I learned about weightlifting and exercising. And so I learned about how weight training and exercising and being aware of nutrition can change your body. And so I worked through high school to try to change my body. And it was great. I lost lots of weight, gained muscle, and I always enjoyed exercising. And so that's been true from then until now. So I've always consistently trained and exercised. But I listened to a book called Outlive by Peter Attia. You know Peter Attia. I recommend it to everyone. Because as a dentist, I do try to help people look at their overall wellness and not just their teeth. And specifically, we talk about periodontal disease and the relationship between gum disease and heart health and body health. And so I was kind of on a search for a journey to understand the whole body implications of periodontal disease, which led me across a book called Beat the Heart Attack Gene by Dr. Bale and Doneen, which was really great.
When did you read these before? This was prior
this was like a year or two ago.
Yeah, okay. So before we took the GLP-1, you had kind of dove into this whole world. Especially since his dad has had a couple heart attacks.
Right, and that's where I was going with this. I was just thinking about health and longevity. It's not necessarily how long we live, but how many years do we live with health. We'd call that health span, not just lifespan. And so I really got interested in this idea of living as healthy as you can for as many years as possible, which is all about quality of life. And so as I learned about from Peter Attia in the book Outlive, he talks about the 4 horsemen, which is cardiovascular disease, neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and brain disorders, cancer, and metabolic disease or diabetes, essentially. He says those are the 4 horsemen. That's what's going to get us all in the end. And as he talked in that book and talked about these risk factors, I started identifying specifically with metabolic disease. It was like, if you're a male and you snore, if you're a male and you have a waist that's over 40 inches. And then Rachel had mentioned, my dad had a heart attack at 58. His grandfather died of a heart attack at 58. And I also recognize I probably have these cardiovascular risk factors. And so I went and got a in-depth blood panel.
Yeah, and I shared that
earlier.
Yeah.
Which kind of gave me like metrics to go off of. So I was like, okay, I have excess weight. I'm a 36-year-old male at 5'11", 220 pounds. I was the heaviest I've ever been. I've just slowly been gaining since we got married or college. And I was like, hey, I am on track to put my health span at risk. Then when I got the blood panel, I saw some health problems. High fasting blood glucose, some inflammatory markers, also some, an increased HbA1c, these other indications of metabolic disease. And so that was like, okay, I need to change something in my life. And so I always trained, and I've been going to CrossFit 3 days a week for several years, 4 years. And then it was like, I need some help to drop some weight. Because again, the weight matters in disease and fat body percent.
So tell us what's happened since you've gotten on the drug.
Yeah, and so I was meeting with like an online coach in regards to following this blood work and making lifestyle changes. So like I was focused on lifestyle changes first. And I think the story around GLP-1 is that is critical no matter what. And Peter Attia, I was just listening to his podcast talking about all this updates with GLP-1s and things, is that 2/3 of people who go on GLP-1s gain the weight back.
Right.
So if you go back to those, years when we were young, South Beach diet, low carb, fad diet, Atkins diet, all that stuff, if you just jump on a GLP-1 and treat it like a fad diet, you're going to be part of the 2/3 that just gain it all back. And even more sometimes.
Yeah.
Except that the 1/3 that was successful in keeping the weight off were those who exercised.
And specific weight training, correct? Was that
weight,
part of it?
Weight training is important.
Yeah.
Well, weight training is important for any weight loss phase to
Right.
maintain your lean muscle mass.
Right.
Which contributes to health span. So, I mean, I jumped on it, tried it, and I don't know, like it's been one of the best things I've ever done in my life. I don't know how this is going to go as far as long-term risk in health, but as I dropped the weight and I kept getting my blood panels every few months, my biomarkers improved.
Right.
And so in the immediate term, I'm getting healthier. I'm healthier now. And the main thing that it does is has allowed me to stay in a calorie deficit for an extended period of time to actually lose the weight. Like, I think I always was like committed and I'd fall back, and I committed and I'd fall back. So I never could lose weight by sticking to it.
Yeah.
As far as experience on the GLP-1, people talk about it all the time. It just like eliminates food noise. So like I wasn't thinking about food like I used to think about food. You know, I'd see a plate of cookies and I go, oh, I would really like one of those. And so I would grab one, and then I would walk by the plate of cookies and I'd grab a second one. And so it's just really decreased that noise thinking about food and wanting food. And then when I do eat, part of me just kind of feels like this is what normal, like people who don't struggle with weight. I was like, is this how like normal people feel? Like when their hormones and their chemicals and their body is functioning properly? Because the GLP is, is a synthetic version of a natural hormone protein found in the body. And so like people who have regular functioning bodies, I'm like, is this how they actually feel? Because I always knew when I was full, but my brain...
Satiety wasn't there.
Yeah, my brain didn't line up with the fullness of my stomach.
Yeah.
And so I was always a overeater in volume, even if I was trying to make better food choices. And so now, like when I got that first hunger cue in the past, like, hey, Brad, you're full, stop eating. Now I can just honor that because I feel full and my brain feels satisfied. And so it's just been really kind of like freeing to have that feeling and experience. And I'm super curious to see what happens. I'm tapering down right now to come off of it. I'm interested to see how that will change as I'm not on it anymore.
Yeah, and I shared in the GLP-1 episode about my experience, and I shared that I mean, I've had like overweight times in my life, but I've never seriously struggled with overweight or having a ton of extra fat on me. And so I feel like your experience is different from mine, but like we also have had very positive experiences with tirzepatide. The whole experience has been net very positive.
Yeah, and super minimal side effects, close to zero.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's a little bit about Brad's story and his experience. Like I said, I mean, I shared a lot of both of us in our episode, but I wanted Brad to share his personal experience because I do think he has really good insights to share as well. Another thing that I shared recently, and I also wanted Brad to come on and share his side, and we don't have to go too into detail about this, but I shared our story on Instagram, and I've never gotten so many responses from people of like, that was the most entertaining story sequence I've ever watched or listened to. And I shared, I moved in to Brad's hometown when I was 14 years old. We met, we were really good friends in high school, and then kind of our journey to how we fell in love and getting married. It was the craziest experience ever. And I'll make a story highlight on my Instagram so you can go watch the story highlights. But Brad, after he watched the story, was like, wait, Rachel, you didn't even share like part of some of the crazy things that happened in that story. And so, Brad, do you have like anywhere you want to fill in the gaps with the story? Because I'm sure people who are listening to this have watched the story sequence on Instagram.
I mean, I would not approve of my child doing what we did.
Oh my gosh.
But it is and was the right thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think sometimes the takeaway there is like, with wisdom and caution, to like move forward in the right direction that your intuition is driving you towards.
Yeah.
Like we knew we were right for each other.
I didn't share this on the Instagram post, but I had like a very distinct impression. We went to the same church and we were in the same church congregation. And when I was like 15 or 16 years old, and Brad was like up at the front, he was doing something with the boys his age. And I remember looking up at him and having this like really strong thought, impression, spiritual prompting, whatever you want to call it, that was like, that's your future husband. And I remember being like, that's so freaking weird. That's Brad. It's like my friend. That's never going to happen. But that feeling like kind of always sat with me. And even when we went through all the turmoil we went through in high school of like, I liked him, he didn't like me back. And like the roller coaster of emotions, I always was like, what was that feeling? I know I had that feeling. And I kind of like always sat with that. Of like, I think I know that Brad and I are supposed to be together. It's supposed to happen. And so
I don't know if I knew you really had that experience. Yeah. And how would you say that's different? Like, don't you think every teenage girl?
Yeah, I totally
tells themselves that as like a fairy tale.
Yes.
And tries it.
Yes. And like that was what like mind games with myself of like, is that true? Is that not? Am I just like kind of like him and want that to happen?
So you had that thought. You said I was with like doing church things with all the guys, and you had that thought.
Yeah.
Like,
you were preparing the sacrament table.
She kissed everyone else at church before we got married. By the end,
I did not kiss them. They all kissed me.
So I was the last.
We had
one
a
to
small
kiss her
group
out
of friends. Okay,
all the friends, you know.
I had to kiss all the boys.
They said they all just wanted to be my Eskimo brothers. They wanted a connection.
Oh, that's what it was, and now you're connected to them for forever.
Yep.
Well, I've kissed you a lot more than I've kissed them in our lifetime.
That's for sure. So.
Yeah, I mean, that was fun. And so if you haven't watched that, you can go watch that and get to know Brad a little bit better in that story as well. Okay, but the real reason I wanted to bring him on this episode is to talk about how our money relationship, our relationship in general, and then how we really started to look at money differently a couple years ago and how that really has changed everything for us. And it kind of started with like me. I started to do some work, and then I, like, you know, speaking for Brad, kind of put Brad onto the work as well. And anyways, do you want to share the story of what happened?
Yeah, and this is a life-changing experience for me. Mm-hmm. So, like, the depth and the impact, and then also, I don't know, I think it's a good long story.
Yeah.
And you don't want to go long.
I don't want to go long?
Well, too long. This might be a part 2.
Oh, we might need to do a part 2. Okay, we can do part 2. That'd be fun.
So
we'll see what we can get through in this episode.
I always I think backstory is important to recognize impact of the current moment or the experience. And so I was born and raised in the East Bay area, in a wealthy area.
East Bay, California.
Yeah.
San Francisco area.
Yeah, the San Francisco East Bay. And you know, my friends' dads were like the CEO of Ross Stores and stockbrokers in San Francisco and traders and businessmen and very successful
highly
people.
Successful.
Very successful.
Yes.
Yeah, doctors, lawyers, very successful, wealthy people, really good people, the best people I've ever met in my life. You know, so I was raised in a really great environment. And I think I always felt like the kid who didn't have as much as they did. You know, I, looking back now, again, tremendously blessed life and very successful parents that I have of my own. But as a teenager, when you compare and contrast, you know, it was 2008. I was driving a 1987 Ford Taurus, and like some of my good friends were driving BMW M3s and Lotus Elise. Like, just I always felt like, you know, I was in the lower socioeconomic class of the area, which I don't really think is true. I think my parents raised 7 kids, and we're also just about
smart,
teaching us good principles.
Right.
And so that is part of my story and my background, where I came from. And then there was school and dental school, and like, we had no money. I mean, we were students for so many years. Like I I didn't make more than $10 per hour until the age of 28 years old. And this is in 2018. And so, you know, we lived many years of,
you and I, marriage
together,
yes,
like
yes.
of living within our means and making it work, you know. And again, our parents taught us good principles. We never got ourselves in financial strains or anything because we always, you know, chose to be frugal. But I found myself as I became a dentist, I then was asking people to spend $1,000, $2,000, $6,000 to fix their teeth. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, I would never do that. I don't have that kind of money. Like $1,000 is so expensive. And then, you know, I got a job in outside of Sacramento where we moved to in a higher socioeconomic neighborhood, and I honestly would like look at people coming into the office and they had Chanel bags and Louis Vuitton belts and huge old diamonds on their fingers and all these designer clothes, and they would drive these nice cars, and like I would judge them. I judged people who had money. I think because I came from my background that I was inferior because I didn't have as much of that as them. And I remember at that time talking to friends, you know, about how much this like luxury living lifestyle I'd observe in other people, how much it bothered me. And I kind of always thought, you know, rich people are snobby. They're not good. Money makes you bad. And again, it's kind of a money story I grew up with. And then I ended up buying my own dental practice in 2021. And then you jump on an entrepreneurial journey, which is a self exploration adventure.
Oh, 100%.
Beyond business, you learn more about yourself than anything. And then there became a point where business has always been good, but it became very stressful. And also I had some physical pain, some back pain that limited my sleeping. And so then I had chronic pain that's limited my sleeping. So then my mental health started struggling.
Yeah.
And I found myself like having anxiety and depression and, you know, thoughts and feelings that I've never had before. And I'm like, who is this guy? Like, this is not Brad Coons. Like, this is not me. And
Well, and I will say, like, because I knew him, I've known him for a lot of our lives. Like, I knew the Brad that was carefree and young and high school, and we do crazy things like jump in Hostess dumpsters together. I knew him as the student in dental school who was, you know, stressed about school. But I had never seen this iteration of Brad before, who was just like honestly angry. Like it was like, yeah, it was like, where did my fun, carefree Brad go? You know?
yeah, I just think super stressed and like burnt out.
Yeah.
On both ends. You know?
Well, you had worked so hard for so long.
Yeah.
And it was like, you're still grinding.
Yeah. And I don't know if I could even take that much credit for that. Like, I think there's many people who work harder than I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I found myself like in a really bad place. And because Rachel started doing some money mindset work herself, I think while she was going through that experience, something clicked for her. And she was like, again, because she knows me better than anyone else, she sees me behind closed doors and things like that. And we were just on a walk one night, and she's like, hey, I'm doing this money mindset work, and like, I think you need this. And so I embarked on participating in that money mindset course, and it changed my life.
Yeah.
And from that moment, it changed everything as I went through it. And Rachel, you have money mindset materials and courses and opportunities within your
Right.
Money Mom Club, right?
Yeah.
Membership. And I mean, that we did that years ago before you even know you'd be
doing the Money Mom Club.
Or even offering mindset training and coaching and changing people's lives. But that was like a pivotal moment. Like when you talk about a shift in life, was going through that money mindset, learning about my money story. And I had identified that the reason I think I was so anxious and depressed and fearful is because I gave all my power to money. Like money ruled over me.
Okay, that concludes part 1 of this episode. We have so many things that we wanted to talk about, and so I decided to break it up into 2 parts, this week and next week. Next week, we're going to dive deeper into what it looked like and how Brad was able to change his relationship with money. I was able to fix mine, and how it really made a difference for us and in our marriage. So stick around. Part 2 is coming out next week.